numbers here. How many Afghans, SIVs, P1, P2, however they're being, considered, have been evacuated since August 14th? I know we have the 7,000 number in total for people, but how many Afghans are in that group?
Well, the 7,000 figure, at this point, I'm not in a position to break that down much further. As you know, it consists of American citizens, it consists of our locally employed staff, who are Afghans. It consists of third country nationals, as we have worked very closely with our partners on the ground to help bring some of their nationals to safety, and vulnerable Afghans. So right now, I'm not in a position to break that down further.
Can you break down 6,000?
Do you not
Break
have
down
the
6,000?
information?
The same way that she's asking?
The 6,000 that are waiting to board, what about them? How many of them are SIVs?
So obviously they're at the airport right now. So this is really data in real time that I just don't have access to. What I can say is that overnight we notified all Americans who had expressed an interest in being relocated to consider traveling to the airport. We notified our locally employed staff, Afghans who worked at our embassy in Kabul. And we also notified a segment of the SIV population. So of the 6,000 that are at the airport now, that is the general makeup.
So are you planning to give us a breakdown? Are you working on that, or is that
I
not
expect
playing
we
your
will
game
have
for
greater
now?
fidelity in all of these numbers as this continues, yes.
So second question, there are reports of problems with these Afghans who you've told to come to the airport, not being able to get into the airport because gates are closed. Is there anything that the State Department is doing to help them get into the airport at this time?
So what I can say, and I'm seeing the same reports on Twitter that you are, and every report of someone unable for whatever reason to reach the airport is something we take very seriously. Our imperative is to relocate as many people as quickly as we can. And we've seen the reports of congestion. My understanding is that things are moving quite efficiently at this hour at the airport now. But every report we see of someone unable to reach the airport is of concern. We are doing everything we can mechanically, logistically, but then of course there's also the diplomatic element to this as well. We are making very clear together with our international partners. More than 100 countries have come together. The G7 mentioned this today as well, that safe passage should be guaranteed for all of those who wish to transit to the airport. That is something we have focused on. We have focused on it in the Doha channel. We are focusing on it, and by we, I mean both state and the Department of Defense, which now has a channel with the Taliban on the ground in Afghanistan. And we have had what I would characterize as productive conversations about the need, the imperative of ensuring safe passage. Now, of course, we're seeing some of the same reports. When it comes to American citizens, we have a relatively large cadre of consular officers on the ground in Kabul right now. They are in regular and constant contact with American citizens. I can tell you that they have received, as of a couple hours ago, a small handful of reports from American citizens who weren't able to reach the airport for whatever reason. What we do know is that 6,000 people are now at the airport. 6,000 people have been able to make it, have made it through the processing, and as of a couple hours ago, we had received only a small handful of reports otherwise from American citizens. Humara.
So then, just to follow up on that, and you say you're doing everything you can, but also yesterday, Defense Secretary Austin said the United States does not have the capacity to extend the operations into Kabul and help people get to the airport. Are you considering seeking help on this from any other country who may have better reach on the ground? Or are you just going to leave this to the people who are trying to get to the airport?
Humera, what I would say is that no country has more capability inside of Afghanistan than the United States. And in fact, we are working...
Sure, but this is one thing you can't do. And like Defense Secretary has said this, and it was a fair and square statement. So I'm asking, if United States does not have this capacity, are you asking other countries who may have better reach on the ground to do something about this, or is this going to be left to the hands of the
My
citizens?
point is that you will be hard pressed to find a country that has the capacity on the ground, if any such country exists, in a position to do that. We have been working very closely with our partners on the ground at HKIA. Many of them have come to us asking to have their people go out on our planes, for example. The United States military is undertaking a gargantuan airlift operation right now. That itself is a major undertaking. You've heard from the Secretary, you've heard from the Chairman of the resources that are involved in that. At this point, we don't have the resources to go beyond the airport compound.
No, just one final thing. How many more Americans left in Afghanistan? This was raised in Pentagon, and they referred them to the States.
Well, we have been consistent in explaining that in every country, Americans register with the embassy. So it's a voluntary thing.
Surely, but you understand this is a question that also defines the length of this
It
mission.
does. It does. And the president has been very clear that we are going to do as much as we can for as long as we can, and our first priority is the safe repatriation of the American people. So what we did overnight was to send a message to all American citizens who had expressed an interest in repatriation. We have already repatriated many Americans. Just today there are 6,000 more people, many of whom are American at U.S. citizens at the airport compound, and I would expect in the coming days.
Are those 6,000 people, you said they've been processed, are they clear to continue on once they land in Qatar, or did they have to be held in that facility?
So these are different categories of individuals. Some